welcome back to our channel at Two Gauze in a Coffin. I'm Amari.
And I'm Jude.
And today we are back with another video of us chatting about the new season of Interview with the Vampire, The Vampire Lestat. We are on episode 4.
Yes.
That's what we're going to talk about today. Episode 4.
Yeah, this one, The Devil's Road. It's the first one not named after a city, because so far it's just been like where they're touring.
Right.
And I kind of feel like it refers to like a couple of different things, The Devil's Road, in this. I mean, obviously it's a reference to, in the book, The Vampire Lestat.
Right.
The Devil's Road is like this, Lestat has a tendency in the novels to kind of like choose a catchphrase for a specific concept, like the Savage Garden being his word for like the world and the chaos and the violence
Right.
of existing in this world, and like and then also like how you're moving through it as a vampire itself, like the Savage Garden. And then the Devil's Road is he's like, when he leaves Paris, he's like, I'm gonna travel the Devil's Road, basically to like, I guess, find where he will end up as a vampire, because he's trying to look for like a teacher who can tell him like what the point of it all is. And in
Right.
Paris, he's like, Armand's old, he should know what it is. And Armand's like, no one, there doesn't mean, like, why would I know what the secret of vampiric existence is? And so he's like, well, I'll find someone who does. And so he like goes out and he's like, we're on the Devil's Road.
Yeah.
And then this, starts out with this whole like monologue about the musical legacy of talking about being on the road and touring and what that means. So that's also another element of it. I also feel like what Armand is doing is
He left out one.
Of
He
what?
left out life is a highway.
For sure. Rascal Flats.
Okay, anyways, continue.
Sorry, I was gonna say that I feel like Armand is also on his own journey. That's another Devil's Road, because also
they all are.
Yeah, Louis is on his own, and so it's just kind of like all of them on these paths that are not gonna take them anywhere good or meaningful.
No,
and I
of
love
course.
At the beginning of it, I do find it really interesting that we have the upside down shot of the road, and then later in this episode we have the upside down shot of the beach. I think these two things that will correlate, but let's go down the line.
Okay.
Next, the road. And then like he's giving this whole like narration and whatever. And then there's like a shot of like all the little bobbleheads on the dash. And one of them is of Elon Musk. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I didn't. I did not look that closely.
I didn't notice until I heard someone say that, and I was like, what? And then I looked back and it's there. It's next to like a hula dancer and Joey Chestnut. And to me, and it's okay, so like later in this episode they play a song called Plastic Fiends, and like it has a ton of lyrics that it's something that I find. Okay, so I need to choose an avenue first. There's a song called Plastic Fiends that plays, and one of the lyrics in the song directly references Elon Musk. And it's kind of like a song where it's talking about how it continues this conversation that I've noticed that's being had about like the emptiness and vapidness of the current day that Lestat sees. And like there's a line in that song that's like something along the lines of like like the blood is diseased, like it's just like there's something empty in it all. And so like he is listing off like all of these people who are like sucking dry the world and like contributing to this like thing, but they're also like vapid themselves, and like they're just like these like cardboard cutout tyrants who are out here like
they're their own kind of vampires.
They're their own kind of vampires. And I also feel like him having a little Elon Musk bobblehead like to me like ties in with like later in here like the cop thing and like this constant like barrage of like microaggressions that
Right.
to me like speak to Lestat's like incoherent politics. Like
Right. Right.
in seasons 1 and 2, like Louis as a narrator is like acutely aware of like the racial politics that affect his daily life, and he's also, you know, acutely aware of like the politics of exploitation, which is why he's always, you know, simultaneously like preemptively justifying all of his actions while also hand-wringing over them. Like he's very preoccupied with the morality of what he does, but he continues to do the things that he does, so he like is either moralizing about it or there's justifications for it or he found another way or like whatever. Like he's very preoccupied with it and he's like very conscious of it. And like about his role in exploitation and his role and how his role in exploitation, like who it affects, because I think he is aware of like, you know, for example in Storyville, who the people he was using to get money were,
Right.
like who the exploited worker base was. He's very aware of it. And like one of the first lines he has in season 1 where he's talking about the past is about his the money that his family's house was bought with was made off of people who he said looked like his grandfather but didn't have his standing. So he's
Right.
aware of his money and where his money comes
Where's
from
Kim from? Yeah.
and where he's getting his money, and he's very constantly aware. Whereas like Lestat doesn't care. Like he doesn't care. And like throughout all of season 1, he, like in season 1 they have a whole conversation about basically he doesn't know what a microaggression is and he doesn't care what it
Yeah.
is. It
Right.
doesn't bother. Like he doesn't care. And like he cannot and will not interrogate his role in like misogynistic and racist exploitation.
He
He
also
won't.
thinks he's like kind of beyond it.
Yeah, he thinks he's beyond it, but also I think he
Just
doesn't he
doesn't
thinks it
give a
doesn't
fuck.
matter. Like he thinks it doesn't matter. And so like I think one of the things that's been tricky and has been very hit or miss, I think mostly a lot of misses, is that that's a very tricky POV to write from
Right.
because
Because it can rather sound like
it sounds like you're
it's
co-signing.
informing this character, or it can sound like it's you're co-signing it. Especially
Yeah,
when right now, since we're in Lestat's POV, we're not really getting any pushback from any of
exactly.
it. Because even as we talked about, like I think was it the last episode, we talked about how already we touched on this a little bit, like with Daniel in the first 2 seasons, whenever he was spouting microaggressions, there was a pushback, and right now we're not getting any of
Yeah,
that. It's
absolutely.
been kind of uncomfy.
Super uncomfortable, and I this is what I had messaged you. I was like, I got 5 minutes in and I've already written a whole page because that's what I
Mhm.
started writing. And so I'm like, yeah, exactly all of that. And I'm like, he's kind of like surrounded himself with yes men who are just, you know, parroting, like just being like, yeah, sure, whatever, 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 and like are enabling his worst behavior. So he doesn't getting any pushback, but also like, and I understand, like I also get the vibe, and I kept thinking about this. I'm like, the way that characters like Lestat, like Daniel, and like Christine are talking this season feels a lot like this is how white people talk about people of color when they're not around, when they're not in the room.
Yes.
Like Daniel feels more
Yes.
comfortable to talk like this because he's talking to Lestat. And
Yeah.
Lestat feels more comfortable to do things like this because he's talking to Daniel and he's like surrounded by a bunch of white people.
Yeah. And
Like,
then the couple of people of color in the room aren't going to say anything to them.
yeah. Like I
Like
think Salamander doesn't
Dr. Reed is
care.
just like,
Yeah, Dr. Fareed also
unless they
doesn't
say
care.
something to him directly, he's like, I'm not here.
I'm not here, I'm not involved, you know, whatever. And like D is an employee. D is in a
Yeah.
tricky position. So like she doesn't have like she's not gonna be like, hey, that's not cool. So
Right.
like I understand because I've seen people on one side like say like, well, what do you expect Lestat to be like socially conscious? And I'm like, no. I don't.
I expect the
But
show to be socially conscious,
exactly. So
not
like
Lestat.
I
I don't expect that from Lestat.
absolutely
I've known
not.
that
So
from season 1,
yeah.
episode 1. Like, come on.
Yeah. So it's like when I saw it, because like, yeah, sure, he has these lyrics where he's talking like shit about like Elon Musk, but then he has an Elon Musk bobblehead because it's ironic. It doesn't matter to him, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all just like
Which is such a white thing to
accoutrement, you
do.
know? Yes, exactly. Like he's like, oh, I have it ironically. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. I hate that shit too.
And I think this like continues because like we do have like the scene with the cop where like Lestat is just like doing this like humiliation ritual power play. And if you when I rewatched it this time, this is the episode I guess I've watched the most. This is my third time. So my third
Oh,
watch.
okay.
I noticed that Dee looks uncomfortable. Dee looks very
Right.
scared at the beginning of
Right.
the cop encounter, but then as Lestat's doing what he's doing, she starts like joining in and being like blah 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 whatever. And I feel like she is what did I write? Miscalculating her safety when it comes to her proximity to Lestat. I think she feels like she's in an immunity bubble from
Mm-hmm.
things that would normally be dangerous to her because she
Mm-hmm.
feels that she's bought herself or afforded herself some amount of power by proximity by being in the position she's in with Lestat. But then I feel like considering later in this episode there's like a shooting that she's like inches from.
Right.
Like I think that safety, that proximity is like, nah, I'm not actually really safe in this situation.
Right.
But yeah. And also like speaking of like humiliation rituals, I feel like this episode is full of them, right?
It
And like
is.
Lestat is doing a lot of them because he feels humiliated because Gabriella left him high and dry. And so he's taking it out on whatever targets he can find. Because he didn't have to do that to the cop. The cop could have walked on, he could have mind gifted him to walk back off, go to his car and then leave. But he chose to do this whole thing because he wants to make this man feel small and like pick on him because he feels
They feel
small right
small.
now. And this is
Right.
a symbol of an authority figure, right? This is a police officer. So Lestat is just like humiliating him to get back at an authority figure in his life that he feels is disrespecting him. He's mad at his mom, so he's taking it out on people around him. It's very teenager behavior.
Little tantrum.
Yeah. So because at first I was like, what the fuck is the point of this scene? But I'm like, the whole scene is about humiliation and humiliation rituals and feeling these like shallow power plays to feel like you have the upper hand on somebody.
Yeah, and you're right. It does continue throughout the episode because then
Yeah, we have something later. But yeah, before we get to this other bit, I don't know if we do have the bit with the first Louis and Regina
right.
scene we get in this episode, where first of all, I just want to say the musical interpolation of The World Was Ready to Return playing in this scene. Beautiful, also evil because it's just the start of a new cycle, right?
Right.
Of Louis trying to find someone else to fill this Claudia-sized hole in his heart. Like, I feel like even the Lestat narration about this bit is softer than it's been because he's like, you know, him being with her was more satisfying for him than, you know, the revenge he took out on Bruce, and he kept telling himself that he was in control, but then he also says, but we all did that year.
Right.
So it's just like they're all in a spiral, and I think this is one of the glimpses we get of, I think a lot of Lestat's anger at Louis is performative.
I mean, he's still kind of in denial.
He's in tons of denial, and I think because also we get this episode later, like Lestat being like he's kind of he's kind of getting over being a rock star. He thinks
you can tell. Like
his
the entire time he's like, "This is what a rock star is supposed to do." So this is why we're doing this because it's a rock star thing. But his heart's not in it anymore.
His heart's not in it anymore.
You can hear it.
And I think the rock star thing was fueled by anger. Mm-hmm. And so now that he's starting to get bored with it, I think he's also starting to get bored with being angry. He's getting over it. And so I
Yeah.
also feel like with this, like, he
And also,
understands
like,
exactly why Louie's doing this too, so.
And also, I guess the root of his, like, emotional turmoil right now is
It's God.
pointed towards Gabriella now. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh, yeah,
also,
he's
like,
pissed at her, so now he's able to see, I think, Louis a little bit more clearly now that he
yeah.
has another object to divert anger towards.
Yeah.
He's once again, I say this about a couple of characters, so much Arrested Development, but I also feel like when you're with your parents, part of you is always going to be like a child. Like, there's always a childish part of you when you're with your parents. I feel like it's just kind of how it is, you know. You will come at it with like the experience and the knowledge of being an adult, but they've also, I don't know, I feel like they know how to push your buttons and make you feel like you're 15 again. So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, and so
So the Regina and Louis
the Regina and
thing.
Louis thing here.
First of all, I still hate the fact that they're calling him Thomas Pitt. I find it so offensive. I find it so fucking offensive, but whatever.
Offensive?
Whatever. It's not fucking funny to me, but it's fine.
Yeah, they
I
were
will say
like,
it's been such a joy seeing Delaney and Jacob do their thing together again. Like, I
their
have
chemistry
really
is
enjoyed it.
so
Delaney
good.
is such an amazing actress. Like she's not Claudia right now.
Yeah, she's
And
somebody completely different.
it's so great. Like, she's able to like just shift between so well. I love you, Delaney. You're amazing, outstanding. I want to like preface this first. I want to get more into this whole dynamic and thing that's happening. I have such weird feelings on it, but I feel like for the most part, I actually rewatch it. I do feel like it does work. I just get annoyed with how people have been talking about it,
Yeah,
which we can get
absolutely.
to once we get like further into as this relationship develops
Yeah.
throughout the episode. But I like it because it's very real. Like, Louis is still grieving, and now that he's killed Bruce and that didn't do anything for him, he's lonely again. You know, like, him and Lestat are beefing. Daniel's betrayed him. Armand's somewhere and he don't want to see him.
Yeah, he's like, don't show me that man right now.
So, you know, and he has this little new man, but like, that man has not known, he didn't know Claudia. So
Yeah.
like, he's very lonely right now. And I really enjoy explorations of parental grief. It's like, I don't know why I love it so much. I just think it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating to explore what people are willing to do when they're grieving a child. Like, one of my favorite books from the last couple of years was Monstrilio, because I just love that exploration of like this parental grief, especially when it means turning this. You create a whole new creature who's not your son, and and he's technically a monster, and he's doing monstrous things, and you're having to like deal with the ramifications of that, but you still really love him because he's still your son, because you're grieving your actual son who died. And anyways, I'm going off tangent, but like, it's just I really do enjoy it, and I really do enjoy getting to see. I mean, it's sad seeing Louis in such a low spot, but he's always going to be in a little sad.
Like, unfortunately, this is a gothic horror, so chances are that he's going to be in a bad place. That's why whenever people are like, why is Louis gotta be sad? I'm like, when has Louis not been
That's
sad?
his thing.
This is a horror show.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's assigned as the sad boy. So I really love to see how that grief is manifesting.
Yeah.
I feel like people are making it. It's not good. I'm not saying it's a
No.
good situation. Like, it's definitely he's stalking her. It's not good. But I feel like people are making it a lot weirder than what it is. So I feel like there's a balance, but we can get into that as we further get into like their relationship.
Yeah.
But I just want to say I'm actually enjoying it. There's like a couple bits I'm like, and it's not even about like what's happening between them. It's more just like how I feel about like Regina and. But we can get to that in
Yeah,
a
we'll get
second.
to that in a
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, we start to get the setup here where I always feel like it's unclear, and I think this is on purpose in my opinion, how much Regina actually enjoys Louis' company and how much she's being in customer service mode because she is at
Yeah,
work.
because you
So
kind of
you have to be nice to people. So
yeah.
there's always a part of me that's like, how much of this is how she actually feels, and how much of this is because she is at work right now,
Right.
which I think is supposed to be ambiguous, in my opinion. But yeah, and so next thing we get, which is Lestat walking to his little interview bit with Daniel, and something I noticed is that there's no doors in the tour bus. The shower is out in the open. The toilet is also out in the open. His bedroom is open to walk in. There's no doors in the tour bus. The rest of the band sleeping quarters is a hallway. There's no door. There's no doors. And it's something about it. To me, it's like everything is on display always. It's simultaneously exhibitionist and voyeuristic. You're on display, but you're also seeing everything. But also it's about the illusion of transparency. So it's
He's like,
very
I'm such an open
I'm an
guy.
open
Like,
book. There's
I'm
not
open
even
book.
doors,
Right.
So there's something about it to me. The other thing to talk about, like set design in this, is I've been fascinated since the first episode with the presence of the jackalope in the room, because it's always a jackalope. It's a fiction. It's like a cryptid.
No, I know what it is. What are you talking about?
There's a jackalope.
I just missed it. Maybe I just didn't pay attention hard
It's like a
enough.
little rabbit with the
Oh wait, I
antlers.
think I did see it. Okay,
And
wait.
it's
I forgot.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
always in the room whenever he's doing the interviews on the bus.
Yeah. I
And
remember now.
it was a hoax. For those of you who don't know the history of the jackalope, it was a fabricated hoax where this person put together these two taxidermy things and tried to pass it off as a real creature, and then they were busted. But now it's just become an oddity, an American oddity, and this like fictional, like fantastical, folkloric creature that now exists in the American Southwest because of this person who is trying to make a buck off a spectacle. So the fact that it's in the room every single time they have the interview, like on the bus especially, I think is really interesting. The other thing of set design is that on the turntable, because there's like a little record player and there's usually a record on top. The last time we saw it, it was the Chapel Rowan album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, and they were in the Midwest at the time. This one, it is Nirvana's In Utero the whole time. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, let's get into it. And the first thing Daniel asks him when he sits down is, tell me about your mother. And Lestat's like, what about her? And then I do find it interesting here because it ties into something a little bit later, is Daniel immediately being like, what failures can we pin on your mom?
Right.
And Lestat's like, none. And then he diverts the question by asking Farid about his mother. And Farid is just very honest and vulnerable with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, my mom died.
Especially after Lestat's been lying about his mom being dead. I'm like, I hope you feel bad. I know you don't, but
yeah. And then, you have Nikki. I had said at one point that I was kind of sad that we didn't get we haven't gotten Mean Nikki, and we're starting to get Mean Nikki now.
Yeah.
Which I
I'm
think
like,
is fun.
go off.
Go off. And so him being like, him flipping and him saying about himself, he's like, I was a great love. Not your first love, though.
Yeah, he's like, actually.
And yeah, so we start to get this guy hanging around, causing psychological trouble. And another thing I like about this scene is Daniel will ask Lestat a question, and Lestat will look at the camera and answer, but he won't look at Daniel because he's performing. He's on camera, so
Right.
he's performing. And as a part of this performance, he keeps saying stuff, and then we see the opposite. So when he's just like, you know, she was vibrant as a mortal, but then as a vampire, she became remote and distant,
And we
and she
see
couldn't
it's
hunt.
the very
And they're like
opposite.
chit-chatting, having this conversation. I hate to say their chemistry in this scene, I did smile. I was like, oh. they I was like, I could feel that these are two people who like each other. Like at one point they liked each other, you know?
Mhm.
They enjoyed talking to each other and like
Mhm.
being in each other's company. I feel like this scene I can really feel that they had camaraderie and rapport that was just they were, because he had said in episode 2 that like Gabrielle is just easy to be around. Like,
Mhm.
and I didn't get that, but I think in this scene you do feel that she for him is easy to be around, like,
Mhm.
and joke around and like, you know, whatever. So yeah, I do find I'd like
We're definitely seeing
the
a lot more in this episode of what I feel like has been missing to kind of understand the relationship a little bit more
yeah,
and
absolutely.
make the complexities of it compelling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do
Yeah.
find it interesting that we're only able to get that nuance when Gabrielle is not around. Like,
Mhm.
Lestat isn't comfortable talking or thinking about or showing these more sensitive, vulnerable bits of their relationship when she's there. He has to
Mhm.
joke about it or like undercut it or like do something like whatever about it in his mind or in the narration or how it's shown. But like when she's not there, we get these very straightforward, unpretentious, this is it, this is the relationship. And Lestat feels different in this flashback than he's felt in any of the flashbacks we've seen before of him with Gabriella. I think because he's able to really think about it because she's not there, you know?
Yeah.
This episode, he gets some distance from her and I think starts to confront some things that he then that gets shoved to the back again when she shows up again at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But he's starting to work through it, but she has to not be around for him to start working through it. So after this, we get Daniel in the bowling alley. All those names he lists are Pulitzer winners or nominees. And it makes me think about. So in season 2, when Armand is talking about Daniel and his and Louis' bedroom, and he talks about Daniel, and he's like, this whole thing, him breaking people down, that's his drug. Like he's reveling in it. And I think he got a taste of it last episode when Lestat gave him that breakdown, but then it got ripped away when he realized he didn't get
Yeah.
it on camera. So I think he is he's missing that. He's jonesing for it, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word.
Yeah.
Like this is what he was kind of like built to do, to be this like interviewer, to be this bloodhound, to get it, the story, to dig in and break people down and find the vulnerability and like tear it out. And Lestat won't break. Lestat's not doing it because
Well,
unlike
Lestat's not. We talked about
Lestat's
it
not being
before. Lestat's not
vulnerable.
looking
Yeah.
for the truth.
He's
You know, he's unlike Louis, who's like actively working towards that and was interested in finding
yeah.
that for himself. Lestat's not interested in that. Not
No,
at this point.
not at all. And so that's adding to the frustration that Daniel has, and he's just getting angrier and angrier about it. And then kind of, I guess, similar to like Lestat taking out his anger on the cop for no, like, just because he can, the perfect scapegoat walks into the
walk
room.
in, looking beautiful, hair stunning, looking like a pretty princess.
3 apples tall, big eyes.
Big old eyes. My little
I don't know
emo
if you'll
pretty
be able to see it
princess.
when I like finally crop it, but I got my copy of the Vampire Armand here. Right here, just behind me. But yeah.
We gotta get into this piece, because this piece is the part that's driving me nuts. And when I had heard about it, because I didn't watch the episode right away, because I was like, I don't want to watch this shit. I'm gonna be honest, because the way that Daniel talks to Armand is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it could be fair if it all didn't feel so racially charged.
Yeah.
It's a very, very racially charged digs, and incorrect digs. Like, first of all, Armand's not a twink. I guess you didn't. You spend enough time in the gay bars. You should. He's not. He's not a twink.
What Armand's got going on under there.
That's true. He hasn't seen with his shirt off like Louis has. He hasn't seen. And the hair, he's way too hairy to be a twink. Like, okay, I know his are just up here. I mean, we don't. I mean, also, ten leaves probably don't. Anyways, we're getting off topic. We saw the candle. So first of all, he's not a bottom. He's a verse. We saw the candle. Okay, so don't try to take that away from him because you're racist and leaning into Orientalist stereotypes. I'm going to come for your ass, Daniel. But also, you're just incorrect. So it's also just weird. No, go ahead. I mean,
I was just going to say, like, all of this, like, to me feels like the push to the extreme version of what he would do, like racially charged comments in season 1, season 2 when he felt destabilized, when he felt like he didn't have the upper hand.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, and it's always racially charged. Like even from season 1, he did that in season 1 with the Rimp Boy comment. He does it again in season 2 once he realized who Armand is. He starts doing that towards Rashid because like. Who else can he like beat down on? But it's always super racially charged. And I'm like, what is happening? And then the whole comment about Louisiana fried chicken, calling Louis that is outrageous. And honestly, this is the one piece where I'm like, or once again, we get back to like, is this just an exploration of his character, or is the show not being as conscious as it felt like it has been in the past? And so that's where I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this right now because it's gonna piss me off, and it did piss me off, and I
what
kind of ruined my experience.
The whole thing, and I was like, when that happened, I was like, oh my god,
because Louisiana fried chicken is crazy, and I think I don't know, it makes me really uncomfortable to see that people also treat it all like a joke. Which is why I'm like, I need the show to be conscious, because if you're not conscious of it, the people who are watching, unfortunately, they take it as, oh, comedy. And then like, this is not funny. Like, what are you talking about? Should Daniel be allowed to yell at Armand? I guess. I never think a white man should open their mouth too loud, but but he has his reason. He's deserved a little bit, but not in this way. There's so many ways, so many things that you could say to Armand that aren't rooted in like Orientalist stereotypes. And then also, why are you even call Louis that? I thought that was your girl. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways,
he's just, and him, because I feel like him yelling, I think I hinted at this earlier, I can't remember what I've said, but him doing all this and emphasizing the father role that Armand technically has with him now is him pinning his failures on Armand, because he basically is like, every single bad thing that's ever happened to me since San Francisco is your fault. It's all your fault. And it's not. Armand didn't make you cheat on your wife.
Right.
Armand didn't make you do drugs.
Wait, did he cheat on his wife?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he actually did. Did he cheat on his wife?
Well, we don't have to lie about him. I don't remember that, to be honest.
I was like convinced he did.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but also, you know,
Maybe
I am a spare person, you know. Even if I'm whacking somebody, I don't think he cheated on his wife. He's the other shit.
Yes, but like, he didn't make him ruin his marriages. He didn't make him ruin his relationships with his daughters.
I think he's just a shit husband.
And make him do all of these things, but he's blaming it on Armand anyway, because he can, and also he's just angry and he's lashing out.
He's lashing out just like,
And the thing is about Armand is that, and I noticed this about the two apologies, Armand, I feel like in these apologies, is just saying what he thinks the other person wants to hear. So he starts with, he's like, Daniel thinks I probably did him the worst wrong, so I'm going to say that I did him the worst wrong. Daniel probably thinks that everything happens with San Francisco, so I'm going to start with San Francisco. I think you were going to say, I think with how Armand feels about Turning, he does think he did him the worst wrong.
Okay, why do you think? Okay, I was going to say that, even though like he's wrong, because he was done the worst, but how he feels about
thinking.
Okay, well, get out of my head.
Because I feel the same way. I think also maybe a part of him does feel like, because also the hints that we have, the turning was non-consensual. The turning was extremely violent, and Armand was stalking Daniel after Dubai and got him not even in the immediate aftermath, like 2 weeks later. He got him on a plane when he was already trying to go home.
Right.
So it is bad. It is bad, but also
so I'm like, he's allowed to yell at him. Just don't be racist.
Don't be racist about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, this is not important, but it's also kind of important. The song that plays in the bowling alley scene is called "My Sister Is a Butcher," and it is by Sarah Swire, who plays TC in the show. And I looked up the song because I was curious. And the song is about someone basically succumbing to bad habits. Specifically, it mentions drinking, drugs, and an eating disorder.
Interesting.
So I find it very interesting what we have here. You have Daniel relapsing on drugs by being on this tour bus with Lestat. The whole beginning of this episode is them doing copious amounts of drugs, like the band members, and then having to flush all of these drugs because they're getting busted by the cops.
Right.
Armand was in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And Louis is also here. And him, going to a restaurant to not eat. There's these succumbing to these behaviors. You see all these people are returning to bad habits this episode, or they've been in bad habits this whole time, right? So everyone's backsliding or returning to bad coping mechanisms, or, they're not moving forward and they're getting stuck, in these really harmful, self-destructive behaviors.
Right.
So yeah, that's the scene, and Armand kind of looks sad and walks away. But I was gonna say, like, the other thing about the apologies is I feel like, especially considering in the episode 8 of season 2, after when Louis is confronting him after he burns all the theater members and gets rid of them, Armand, I think, sees apologizing as letting the other person basically kick you until they're not angry anymore, or until they've used up that vindictive energy. So I don't even think he was expecting anyone to listen to his apologies, because I think he thinks him being there to be a punching bag is an apology, and it's not.
Nope.
But also, like, we see, because we know at some point we're going to get Armand going crazy with a machete. Because Armand does that thing, right? Where, like, he puts himself in the position to be, like, the whipping boy and just get, like, hit and hit and hit and hit. And, like, everyone, you can take your anger out until he gets angry and throws a fit, like we see in season 2, episode 5, where he decides, I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm going to cause a scene. I'm throwing a tantrum now. And it's just like, you have you even apologized?
What if we started with that? An authentic apology.
Did you say I'm sorry?
He doesn't know how to say that.
He doesn't
these
even
men don't know how to say
apologize
that.
in any of these apologies either. He doesn't say I'm sorry.
None of them know how to say I'm sorry.
None of them know how to say I'm sorry.
Only Louis knows how to say it. Sometimes you might say it with a little spice, though.
Yeah. I know he does say sorry genuinely in that episode, but the first one I thought of was the I'm sorry.
I know, that's why I'm like, sometimes he says it with a little spice.
Yeah. And so right after this scene, we are back with Louis and Regina, and things are starting to get more tense as he is unable to keep this relationship separate from what he's there for, basically, which is
Oh, there's another thing. Wait, was it this second one or was it the first one when he's like he tries to, the thing about Louis is that he feels like he is not a problem because he's like, well, I'm gay, so it's not like
that's in the first one.
Yeah. Also, he brought up his picture with Lemuel. I'm like, y'all together actually?
Yeah. Also, I've been eating grapes this whole time because I want to. So
he's like, oh, emotionally unavailable. But I'm like, oh, really? Okay, well.
Emotionally unavailable, but he calls you to check up on you after you do a revenge stint that you told him you were gonna do.
Right.
He's the only person you told you were gonna go and do that.
Interesting. So what's really going on?
What's really going on?
Anyways, but yeah, like the thing about Louis is that he feels like some of the things that he does is like he's not a threat because he's a man, but like I'm gay, like I'm not like a threat to you because he's like, there's nothing, I have no like sexual intentions with her. She's safe with me, but I'm like, but Louis, the thing is, she doesn't know you. Like, she doesn't know you. And she can't be guaranteed of like what your intentions are. And either way, as she finds out in the second bit that he's like, she finds out.
Well, this is when he tells her about the book.
He tells her about the book, but she still has to like, look into it.
Yeah.
But she eventually finds out like he's like a vampire. So it's like, you're a strong vampiric man. So there's a power difference, and it's scary.
There's a power difference even if she thinks he's a human, because she mentions in this that he's very rich. Like I think someone looked it up that they were like, if he was 556th on the list, he would have like $3.1 billion.
Damn. I guess he's finally a billionaire.
Yeah, it happened in 2 years. He was able to cross that benchmark.
Let me borrow a few dollars, Louis.
I also wonder if Regina actually thinks he's a vampire, or if she thinks he is a man who has deluded himself into thinking he's a vampire and is identifying with this character in the book and is associating someone he lost with the character in the book and therefore associating her with this. Because do you think she actually believes he's a vampire? I feel like she's too grounded to actually believe that
makes it even worse because she's probably like, damn,
this guy is crazy.
Louis, oh no.
And I think either way doesn't matter, because either he's an unstable person. Well, he's unstable either way. But either he is a deluded person who has deluded himself into believing this alternate reality, and he has a lot of money, which gives him a lot of power, or he is a vampire, who still has a lot of money, but is now also a creature that subsists on human blood, you know?
Yeah.
And could just drain her.
Yeah.
And kill her that way. He could kill her even if he's not a vampire.
Yeah.
And get rid of her pretty easily on account of, once again, being a billionaire. But either way, she's in a tricky situation because this man has formed an attachment that required nothing from her.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, as we get later on, she's the one who kind of proposes the arrangement, because I feel like she feels like it gives her some power. It gives her some leverage, because at this point she doesn't have any. But yeah, I also, what I love about this so much is how, while Louis is stepping forward and continuing to step forward, he looks so guilty because he knows it's wrong. And that's always been like Louis's problem, right? Like, he does these things and he knows they're wrong, but he does it anyway, because he needs the emotional, I don't want to say catharsis, because I don't even know that this is going to be super cathartic for him anyway, but he's seeking it. He's looking for something.
She's the new Band-Aid for him.
She's the new Band-Aid for him.
Yeah. It makes me so sad. But also I need to...
Yeah. And,
I don't know. I also... Well, yeah. I mean...
I also think that because he's giving her money, because I do think he thinks that he's helping her, and
and that's why I think that's part of the problem, though. You know, and that's why some people are being really weird about it, though. And he's like, he's grooming her and all this.
She's a grown woman.
She like, that's not what's happening.
Yeah,
is it still like morally great? No.
Yes,
but you know, like, Louis not like out to harm her, abusing her. He's being creepy. I
do think we have to say it is exploitation. He is exploiting her.
Yes. I'm getting to that.
Sorry. I'm like,
it is exploitative, and you know, it is really weird. And even the thing is just that he is like, I'm not, I'm helping her. Like, I don't really want anything from her. I just want to like be able to be around her because it makes me feel better. I want to like talk to her. But like, the thing is, it's just, you're stalking her.
Yes.
You're stalking her. And you're scaring her. Like, that's just the reality of it. You can have your intentions may not be malicious, because Louis' intentions aren't like malicious here, but like, it's the reality of what it is. And so I don't know. I wish there was a more balance, because that's the other reason why I didn't want to watch this, because I was like, people are being really, really weird. I wish there was a more balanced way of talking about it, by talking about that, like acknowledging that like it is weird, it is leading into this like line of exploitation that, Louis steps over, without being like he's a sexual predator who's grooming her. I'm like, we
literally have an actual instance in this show, a parallel narrative of like Gabriella actually being a sexual predator and coercing her son into a sexual relationship.
The thing that has got me is that people are calling Louis all sorts of weird names. Meanwhile, I haven't seen people like make like cutesy little things with like Magnus and be like, what if he's just like Lestat's like silly dad? And I'm
I've seen this.
Him and Marius. I'm like, okay, I guess it's different when you're white. Yeah. When you're white, it's, the actual sexual violence that you're inflicting is like nothing, I guess. But then like we can like put fake sexual violence onto this black man, which is not what's happening. There's exploitation happening, but it's not sexual exploitation. So
I also feel like there is a parallel to be made in like different expressions of like what is happening with Louis and Regina and Lestat and Dee in how they are different flavors of misogyny, like how their
Yeah.
misogyny like manifests, because like with Lestat and Dee, it's like overtly misogynistic and like racialized, and you know, she is technically his social media manager, but she is to him a means to get high and to
Yeah.
have sex on tap. Like whenever he
Yeah.
wants it, she's there. And we can see that by the way Christine talks about Dee to her face, the way that she refers to her as literally a cocaine
Lestat
whore
doesn't even
bucket.
say anything
And he
about
doesn't
that.
say anything because that's what she is. That's the role that she is playing
And
for
I find it
him.
really interesting that no one talks about that. But
They
like, we got a lot
don't.
of
But
smoke
let
for
me get
Louis. But
through
it's
this. I
okay.
have more to
Okay,
say
I'm just
about this
listen.
all.
I'm just salty. I'm really salty.
I know, but we can talk about it when I reach the end of this. I have more to say. And so it's like this overt, like, hypersexualization of every woman that he's in a proximity
Yeah.
to. Like, every relationship he has with a woman is also sexual because that's how he sees women. And so we see, like,
I
Dee
mean,
has
with him and
aspirations.
Christine.
Yeah, we see Dee has aspirations of being more than this because we see her positive affirmations, which are kind of played off as a joke, but I think reveal a lot about her as a character. That she does have career goals. She does want more from this than what she has been devalued to, which is basically a weirdo groupie for him.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like there, like Lestat doesn't care about what she wants because she's there to feed his wants. But
Right.
with like Louis is like a benevolent misogynist where he kind of spells that out in the first episode, right? When he talks about, and he's aware of it, that he's just like, I keep trying to tell myself that, like, you know, I'm taking these women off the streets, putting a roof over their head, putting dollar bills in their pocket, but at the end of the day, I know what I am and what I'm doing.
Right.
Um, it it doesn't really stop him from doing it. He's aware of it, and I think he thinks that being aware of it makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he does have guilt over it, and he's very Catholic at the end of the day. So the fact that he feels guilty means that he still has like a moral compass about it all, because he's like, well, if I was truly evil, I wouldn't feel bad about it, but I do feel bad about it, so it's different. But like once again, he does justify it. We see like when he moves from the up to like the Azalea, he's like, I brought those girls with me and gave them better conditions. And it's like, okay. And then like he's like, I made them co-owners so that he could see if he could weasel out of a law that was going to make him shut down his business. I don't think he did it because he felt like they deserved to be co-owner. He did it because it would also serve him, and it would also make him look good too in his whole like, I'm a benevolent
Or
business.
make him feel good. I
Make
think
him
it's
feel
more.
good as well. That he's like, I gave them a say. But then, you know, Brix voices her opinion on something he's doing and he doesn't listen to her and he does it anyway. So it's like, how much of a say do they have? It's very like, you know, symbolic. And like he does like care about the women in his life. Like he does care about, you know, Claudia, obviously, and he cares about like Grace and he cares about Miss Lily, but he does kind of use them to his own ends and like for his own emotional support. And, you know, like Regina, kind of like Claudia, is a means for him to feel connection to a community he's lost.
Mm-hmm.
And Regina, like
Yeah.
Miss Lily, is a person he's paying for companionship, but he's convinced himself that there's not a precarious power imbalance because of that lack of sexual desire. So he's not a
Mm-hmm.
sexual threat. So it's
Mm-hmm.
different, you know? And like, I think he knows that what he's doing is like disrespectful to Claudia, but he feels like he needs this right now. And so, like, that's part of where the guilt of all of this is coming from. Like, he knows it's bad. He knows it's bad, but he can't like help it. And I think that him cooking up like this mutual benefit they're both getting for it means that he can kind of like hand wave the exploitation because he's like, but I'm helping, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So it's like, it's two very different types of misogyny, but they're both
Mm-hmm.
misogyny, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Same page. Yeah.
I also feel like I mentioned a little earlier that I feel like Dee has miscalculated the safety that she has by being in proximity to Lestat, whereas Regina is very aware of how precarious her situation is. She knows that she is not in a safe spot. And I think that plays a lot into these relationships as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
I just feel like, once again, there's no nuance whenever anyone wants to talk about stuff that Louis does.
I know. It's like we can't talk about how he is a complex character or talk about, the weird things that he also does, the bad things that he also does, because the way that people respond to him is rooted in like trying to make him out to be like the worst guy here. And I think it also is very much because people feel like it'll make them feel better about, as if it will kind of negate the fact that he's been abused by their two faves, like Lestat and Armand, and like somehow if they can make Louis the worst guy here, then like what happened to him doesn't really matter because he's just as bad as them. And I'm like, okay, we've lost the plot.
Yeah.
There's a balance. There's a balance that can be had, and also gets kind of anti-black the way that it's talked about, and I'm like,
absolutely. Also, like, I don't know how to phrase this. You can be a bad person and still be abused.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's no amount of things that Louis can do that negates him being abused. Like, the same goes for, like, I feel like we do have these characters of like Lestat and Armand who are horrible people. It doesn't mean that they haven't been abused.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they abuse other people, they've still been abused. So there's no amount that Louis could do that would mean that he also wasn't abused.
Right.
But I feel like people understand that when it comes to Lestat especially. I feel like people flip a coin on if they want to see it with Armand.
Whiteness affords you.
Yeah. Some people have said there's a whole people were getting crazy and saying things about Armand recently where they were like he deserved what happened because he sucks, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's I'm like usually Lestat gets the most grace. Armand, there's a certain amount of grace that whiteness affords you.
Yeah,
and Armand, if it's Armand like hard Armand stands, then they're the ones who are like,
I do not
he's
see
innocent,
it.
And I'm like,
Your Honor, he's innocent.
But then like everyone else,
it's like
does the opposite and does like way too much on him, and I'm like, he deserves some things, but some of the things that you're saying are rooted in something else.
But it's like there is that like desperation, and so Louis like, I can help you, and I think she immediately reads it as like, you want something out of this. And I think like if she had just been like, give me $100,000, so we've been like, here's the cash, because like it doesn't matter to him. But I think we'll get more into this a little bit later. But yeah, because we haven't gotten to that specific scene yet. And the next thing is, I'm pretty sure from what I've written down, it's the scene in the inn with Lestat and Gabriella back in.
And right before that, we get Salamander's song. I just wanted to mention that because
I erased it from my mind because it sucks so bad.
It was bad, but I just want to say Salamander.
Also, Alex comes back. I don't care about this scene, so I didn't write it down because it doesn't matter to me. Anyway, so next scene that happens.
Salamander's song was terrible, but
so
I do
bad.
love him. But anyways, continue. Don't say it.
I don't care about that man.
Okay. Anyways,
his song was used to be the really bad, like garbage diss track, so I don't care. Anyway, so we have the scene in the inn where we get, I think, it begins to me like it fleshes out why Gabriella behaves the way that she does. like in that scene, she is like basically she doesn't want to exist
She doesn't want all
within.
these little old titles that she's had.
Yeah, she doesn't want to exist
Mother,
within a role at
wife,
all, I don't think.
yeah.
So she wants to be an amoral evil. Like she describes herself as a fever. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
can you ascribe morality to an illness, to a virus?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, you can't. It just shows up, it kills, and it leaves. That's what it's meant to do. A
Right.
virus exists to multiply. It's barely a living thing, you know? It's more like an organic robot. You know, it performs this function. That function often kills things, kills hosts, but as long as it can make more, that's its only function. And I think it's interesting that we also kind of see the ways that it's, I don't want to say it's clashing with Lestat, but it's, we start to see that they're not on the same page of how they want to like move through eternity. Also, there's a really interesting to me like minor moment here when he's like, how many people are in the building, and they're listening to the hearts, and when they get to the basement and they say the two people in flagrante delicto, which means like in the middle of having sex basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like conspiratorially like looks at Lestat. He kind of like clears his throat and looks
He's
away,
like, oh
like he
God.
makes a joke. He's just like, and on Holy Saturday, LOL. Anyway,
Anyways,
like he's not, I don't think he knows what to do yet about this situation, because we had that moment that he brings up later in this episode, like with the wolves, that happened when they were human. There's another line in a song later that hints at something happening between them when he was even younger. And I think he has kind of portrayed himself thus far as like this, like, I'm up for anything, but I don't know how real that is, you know?
I mean, we've seen cracks of it already, but
We've seen
yeah.
cracks of it. Like, it's like in episode 2, when like, you know, Gabrielle's like, are you having a lot of sex? And he says, yeah. And she's like, do you enjoy it? And then he doesn't answer.
I mean, even before that, oh no, was it after, before? I think it was before when he already was like, what if we didn't like have sex
Yes.
actually? What if we
Yeah.
just like chill?
Yeah. Yeah. And also something I find crazy here is like, so she's looking at the guy who's playing Jesus, that we later see that they're gonna have sex later. But Lestat describes this scene and he puts himself in Gabriella's spot when he's talking to Daniel about it. He's like, I had sex with the guy who was playing Jesus in the procession. And it's like, there is a blurring of the two. And I think in a lot of ways, Gabriella sees Lestat as an extension of herself. Like, that's been the case when they were human. And I think we have some remnants.
That.
Sorry?
I mean, we know that.
Yeah. But then we see Lestat kind of consciously doing the same, because he could have just excluded that bit from the story at all. He could have not mentioned it, but he chose to bring it up, but have him be him be Gabriella in this story. Which, and especially because he's having him be Gabriella in a story about a sexual encounter, is crazy.
Oh yeah.
We need to do something about this. I wrote it's evil.
It is evil.
It's very evil. We have this whole conversation then here about, they bring up Dubai, right? And like that's when Lestat is kind of like planted the seed of him being like, you think that you were smarter than Armand? Are you stupid? And then he's just like, you thought it was love? And then Daniel being like, well, you know, you were 500 feet from Louis when you dropped him out of the air, when that was love, right? and Lestat doesn't have a rebuttal for that because he can't deny that he did that shit. So, and then we have apparently Alex is joining a very interesting cult.
Cult of Armand.
Cult of Armand. You know, some say it already exists and it's mostly lesbians on Tumblr.
It's true. I've seen it.
I seen it with my own two eyes.
Because you're in it? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway. But yeah. I'm trying to think. This whole scene also, like, there's this chaotic build because, like, he looks and he has the missed call from his mom and he keeps trying to call and, like, we have the noise of the song, which is
He's
Plastic
starting
Dreams playing
to
again.
unravel.
Yeah.
He's starting to unravel. Her being gone is really doing a number on him, being, I guess, abandoned again. He's like, I'm about to fucking make a lose it.
Yeah. And
yeah.
the past and the present, and we see
blurring.
The Yarda thing apparently is a pattern of behavior that Gabriella does because she did the same thing with that actor back in that inn. Or maybe it's just, once again, maybe I was right and it just felt that loud.
Yeah.
But he, opens the door to
Still
leave.
too goofy for me, but
yeah,
at least it came back around.
At least it came back around for something. And then he opens the door and he steps from the present to the past. And this scene is very upsetting.
It's extremely upsetting.
And I said out loud, we have to do something about this. I was like, we have to do something. It's really rough, right? Because I don't even know what to say. I feel like this scene it recontextualizes a lot of Lestat's glibness about their relationship because he was coerced in this moment to cross this final boundary. And I think he feels like that means that it was his idea. And so he has this like, whatever, I'm just a weird freak. I'm a pervert about it. And I feel like in a lot of ways, maybe we can consider the goofy, over the top way that he portrays it in episode 2. That's almost his version, Gabriella version of the Magnus music video, right? Where it's like, it's a joke. It's weird. Isn't it weird? LOL. And both of us are responsible. He keeps being like he kept being like, we couldn't help ourselves. We, this, that, and the other. Like, it's me. And it's like, it's because also I think his mom said that she loved him. Have we heard her say I love you in any other context?
Right.
And I think he thinks that this is the only way that he can, I don't want to say he can have his mom, but like he can maintain a relationship with her, is if he's this to her. And there's this look that Sam Reed does in this scene that it's a look of like grief and also like it's horrible. Like he looks like he's losing something. And then like, they kind of embrace and then the scene continues. And he points out in this scene something that he kept like contradicting, right? Which is that it's different when you're vampires. It's different when you're vampires. But he straight up says in this scene, when after the wolves, when you tended my wounds, we were mother and son. And she goes, and? And he doesn't know what to say to this. And it's just really sad. It's really sad. And the way that it's shot is so crazy, where you just hear the sound of the water and like there's no sound in the scene, and you gotta do something. Oh my gosh. I also find it really interesting that, like, one, Armand appears immediately after Lestat's incest dream, but also two, this is the second time he's like jolted awake after having a dream of a sexual encounter with his mom, because he did the same after the wolf thing.
Mm-hmm.
He like bursts out of his coffin, and then he does the same
Mm-hmm.
thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
he there is a part of him that knows this
it's
is
not good.
wrong and bad and is disturbed by it, but he can't
Mm-hmm.
approach it when he's conscious. It is an unconscious understanding
Yeah.
about it. I also think it's crazy that his coffin has all the hands reaching, and there's just something very insidious about it to me, considering the conversation being had about sexual abuse and hypersexuality, that his coffin is just covered in these reaching, grabbing hands. And he encloses himself in all of these reaching, grabbing hands every night. I guess every morning, I guess he's a vampire to sleep. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Now we
It's
have Armand is
not
here.
good.
I feel like the first thing I wrote, well, also the thing I think about is when they're talking about it and they say Armand did more damage than the Queen ever did. What's that gonna mean?
I know. I'm like, scary. What are we getting into? When are we gonna finally see it though?
I know. I want to see him go crazy.
He's being too much of a
Um,
nice young man right now.
yeah,
Nice.
he's like I'm.
He's like, I'm a polite young man.
Yeah,
I've
he's
never
like
done anything
everybody's so
wrong.
mean to me. They throw rocks at me. I also with the when he's just like, I don't know, when Lestat's just like, you don't have a soul, and he goes, can I just read it? I wrote down they are brothers. There is a the sibling dynamic between them. That's brothers. Where he's just like, can I? And unlike Daniel, where like Daniel starts to berate him and he just stops. Every time Lestat interrupts, he just keeps reading. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
I don't respect you.
This is part of my steps, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I feel like this is another one where it's like Lestat, well, I guess Armand's apology to Lestat. He's just saying what he thinks he wants to hear, because once again, he doesn't say sorry. He just keeps like gassing him up and being
Yeah.
like, "You're so great."
And you know what? I'm going to defend Armand's honor here. This was Lestat's narration, so maybe Armand peaked one time, but I don't think he was looking all like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to respect our melanated queens, and we have to save our melanated queens. Okay, we cannot let pink peen influence them like this. And so
No.
I refuse. Stand up, girl. Anyways.
Yeah, but I also feel like this is Lestat using sexuality as a weapon. Like, he's weaponizing it to put Armand off, like, to make him uncomfortable. And yeah, so we have this whole Stay strong. Yeah, and so yeah, this is where Lestat's basically like, I'm only gonna do 5 more shows. I'm getting bored of this. And but also there's a way that he does it where he's like, you want me to quit? And then he says he's only gonna do a couple more shows anyway because he's getting bored, so that if he stops, it's not that he was following Armand's instruction. It's just that he already was thinking about quitting anyway.
Yeah. They're so annoying.
Like, you're so annoying. You're such a brat. It's unfortunately the most apt word to describe him. And yeah, this whole humiliation ritual for Armand, to me, is more embarrassing for Lestat than it is Armand. Like, the whole show, he makes himself up, like, he dresses himself up looking crazy. He looks crazy. And he's putting on this, like, show and he looks and is behaving unhinged and crazy and making a fool of himself. And then he's like, but I'm owning Armand. Sick burn. And it's just like, you look more stupid than Armand does at the end of this. And also, all of the things that he says, I feel like reveal more about Lestat's insecurities than Armand's, because the things there are like, you're ugly, nobody wants you.
I want Armand.
You know, like, there's just this like energy. It's like, oh, you're gonna make fun of him for like being abandoned or whatever. Well, look at where you are right now. Like, nobody wants you either. It's why you're alone at the moment. So it's like
twin and
him, even like the words like, you know, sad sachet, or like, you know, he's gonna throw a whole fit because his hair looks bad. That's Lestat. That's all Lestat. Yeah. Not even, he just wrote down some stuff and he's like, this'll do it, but it's all stuff that is you're looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
And so and Lestat is not Lestat. I'm gonna lose it. Armand has like two little henchmen.
Yeah.
What's that about? Starting a new cult?
Maybe.
So they were talking to the costume designer because someone pointed out the bangles. And she was like, unfortunately, the Louis and Armand, the fact that they both have silver bangles is a little bit coincidental. Louis's bangles all have notches on them from the Vampire He's killed. But she was like, there is a connection with the presence of bangles like that Armand is wearing. And so when I rewatched it this time, Alex has a silver little bangle. I didn't notice if those two guys have silver bangles, but
so you get a cool little bangle if you join the cult?
I guess you get a cool little bangle. Where's Armand buying them from?
Etsy.
There's some like Etsy store who's just like, wow. Yeah, so then he like, you know, I also, when the light points to him and he immediately like turns away from it because he doesn't want to be seen or be pointed out or singled out, I don't know, I find that interesting to me as well. And then he like, you know, leaves. Oh wait, no. Oh wait, yeah, I'm trying to remember what all I wrote here because I only wrote a single sentence for the Armand and Daniel conversation. I know. Which is, I wrote, the whole Armand Daniel conversation is boring, but LMAO at the Daniel Louis crumbs in the middle.
Exactly, because it always comes back to Louis. Yeah. Just like in the books, you know, the Devil's Minion chapter, they couldn't stop talking about Louis. I'm just saying, when you're that girl.
Yeah.
When you're that girl.
Because like
even Armand was like, that's the only thing. We have to keep centering Louis and Devil's Minion. Sorry about it, but we have to, because that is how it is even in the book. Armand's like, you're a gift from Louis, and Daniel can't stop thinking about Louis apparently. And I'm like, we have to center Louis in this. Really, too many people be so like, I'm going to let y'all know something, because I know that a lot of y'all think that I just hate Louis and Lestat, I just hate Devil's Minion, but that is not true, okay? I don't want to admit it, but like, and it doesn't matter because I deleted it, so don't try to find me. But like, perhaps, if I were to write fan fiction, there may have been a time when I wrote both of those, okay? The whole reason why I don't really like Karen is just because a lot of people are so racist and they feel like these guys are all monogamous, and I'm like, they be switching around each other all the time. Like, if we were less ship-centered, where you have to center a white person in a pairing, we'd all be a lot happier. Mm-hmm. But anyways, all I have to say is that if we were really real, everyone would realize that Louis is at the center of the Devil's Minion relationship. It kind of, a little bit, a little bit. And Daniel is always going to be thinking about Louis. Like, I obviously do enjoy Louis and Armand's relationship. I think it's interesting. I feel like, I just find it interesting. I mean, I always have, even in the books, even though I find it a lot more interesting now in the show. And I feel so. I know people are going to be like, you just don't like blah, blah, blah. But I feel like undermining this relationship feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, there's no... Armand throughout season 2 was trying so hard to
hold on to this
relationship intact that he was out here gaslighting Louis. Like, why would he do all that if he's like, I knew all along and I just want to let you come ruin it while I stare into your eyes or something. Like,
yeah, I still don't think that was the case. Like,
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It feels, I don't know. Then what's the point of, like, the whole season? Like, if that's the case, like, I don't know. So, yeah.
I feel like, and I had kind of said this on my Tumblr, because I was like, does anyone, do any Devil's Minion people like that? Like, do they think it was well done?
It felt out of place.
Like, yeah, and I kind of said, like, it felt to me like the writers were just like, here, damn, now stop asking.
And I feel like it's a service to that relationship. Like, let's let it cook. I thought we were going to get more of, at first, like, I wanted to see more of, like, I mean, I know that we're not going to get it this season. They already said we're not going to get it this season. I wanted to see more of the, that, I mean, Armand was, like, pissed, like, I want to see more of that. And I want to see the gradual, coming together later. I just wanted to make sense. And so this felt like it didn't make sense to me. And it felt like it was just in service of, like, it was just like fan service.
Yeah, it's like for the people who, because I remember
even begging for it. I'm like,
season 1 came out, they were like, what are we going to do about Devil's Minion? And so for, like, the past,
let's calm down. We will get there.
Yeah.
We will get there. I promise we will get there. It didn't happen until Queen of the fucking Dam. Yeah. Like, please, let the tale seduce you, and we will get there. It would be so much better if we just let it happen. And then we can all have a good time.
Yeah.
Because, I could be down.
I also, so, like, then we have, like, Lestat calling and leaving a voicemail for Gabriella while Nicky writes with his bloody stump on the mirror, Marius.
He's like...
And then he's like, when he's not around and when she's not around, I guess I'm third in the queue.
Crazy.
And I'm like, okay. And then him basically being like, you're not here, but all these fans outside, they're screaming for me.
He's unraveling fully.
He's unraveling
fully, like...
completely. It's like, do you think they actually care about you? The fans outside, or do they think you're just like a fun oddity that they can like take selfies with and be like, I met that guy.
Symbolic. You're like,
he's a clown. To them, he is a clown. Most of them don't actually believe that vampires are real. He's just a clown for them. He goes on stage. He prances across the stage, and they're like, "LOL, we got to see the clown." And he has mistaken that. I don't even know if he's mistaken that. I think he is aware that he is a clown. And I did think of, there's this one line, because like there's a part of him, I think, in this, him being like, see, they like me, they really like me, on the phone with Gabriella, to be like, well, you're not here, but at least these people care about me, even if you apparently don't care about me. There's like a bit in one of the later, I think it's one of the Prince Lestat books, where like Lestat's about to go out to like address a bunch of, I think, vampires, and Gabriella's like, before you go on, I just want to let you know, these people don't know you, and therefore they don't love you. And Lestat's like, thanks, Mom.
Damn.
Thanks. All right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, all right. And like it's just I don't know. There's something it's just but it goes back to, episode 1 when he was talking to like the baby Jenks astral projection when he's just like I want millions of fans because I think he thinks that it'll
That's gonna
do
fill a
something
hole
for
for him.
yeah, he's just like, if enough people love me, it'll make everything worth it. And it's like, none of these people love you. None of these people love you. Not no. Um, but yeah, and then we have like the gunshot bit, which
Yeah.
it's an echo of I had referenced this also in the thing where I thought that Lestat kind of going crazy and biting baby Jenks on stage was a reference to him at Renault's like going crazy and like being a vampire in
Mm-hmm.
public in that
Mm-hmm.
sort of way. And then in that scene, for those who haven't read the book, a guy in the audience shoots Lestat with a gun and he
Mm-hmm.
runs out of there and everyone's freaking out because he got shot 2 times and he didn't go down, he just like left. um and so we have that here where like this guy and like he references it earlier that like this guy's writing a manifesto, he's like somewhere in a public library computer, a manifesto is being written and
Yeah.
it's this, and the guy shoots him, and shoots Christine. I guess Salamander uses her as a human shield. And someone pointed out that him being petty about Yarda and him wanting to go out and interface with his fans actually is what gets him shot. Because if he had done what he normally does, which is go one way and have Yarda go out to meet the fans, Yarda would have gotten shot.
Well, maybe it's a good thing he did do that since Yarda's human.
Yeah, but he like psychically throws him before he walks out. So it's just like,
hey, he saved his life.
it's life, man. I guess you care about him after all. I also feel like in a couple of ways, like Yarda is what Lestat is afraid that he is. He's afraid that he's like this dumb guy who can't string a sentence together.
Oh God, that's a good notice. You know, I know that me and Lestat, our relationship is just that we're brother husbands, and so we battle every day. But let me reassure you, Lestat, that that's not you. At least,
you know when you look in the mirror sometimes and you're like, I am a goblin. I think that's
I would
what
not allow it if that was you. Okay, I can't be brother husbands with Yarda. Okay, so rest assured.
I mean, like even like the way that he talks about himself when he had a stutter, he called himself an ape from Auvergne. Like he's really down on himself about his stutter, and like the his own perception of his lack of intellectual prowess that would be associated, because the word for someone who can't speak is dumb. Like, so there is that carryover of like this perception of
I mean, you can see
intellectual
him already getting
ineptitude.
kind of insecure when he like couldn't like pronounce the words correctly, and Daniel was
Every
like,
episode he pronounces a word wrong. He said chipotle.
I thought he was just being like goofy then.
Yeah. Just being rar XD millennial about it. No, I think he just didn't know how to say Chipotle.
Oh.
And it goes back to like him calling it Saskatchewan instead of Saskatchewan, or like what else did he say crazy? He says something crazy. He does a pronunciation I didn't conceive possible every single episode. And you know, sometimes that happens.
That's real. I understand that. I do it all the time.
And
but
then
that's because
I book too when he's like, I know what infinitesimal means. Like he's afraid of that he's seen that people think he's dumb. And he's not helping the cause. But I think he is afraid that people think he's stupid. But anyway, he gets shot. And I just, he has the faux stigmata here, the hole in the hand, and that's just another continuation of the consistent Jesus imagery that he's had this season.
Well,
Where
that started last season.
that started way before. I would even say like when Louis turning and Lestat leans in front of him and he has the halo.
Oh yeah.
That like there's been a couple of like Jesus, and also because I was thinking about in Queen of the Damned, when this is a Daniel line, when like they're at the big concert, Daniel refers to Lestat as Christ on the cathedral cross. And there's another line where he's just like basically like there's that whole thing he's talking about it being a mass, and like there is something biblical about it, and like Lestat being this Christ figure who's gonna get torn down and attacked by everyone in a second, but that's part of it, right? The mob going after him to tear him down. And like in the first episode he's wearing of the season, he's wearing that like Jean-Paul Gaultier cathedral top, as he talks about gods, and he's like, I'm a god, and like just keeps pushing, and like we keep seeing this Christ imagery. I would even say when he's turned, he's also upside down and he looks like he's been crucified. And it's just here a lot. And so we have him being shot and him having the stigmata, the faux, the visual like allusion to a stigmata in his hand as the blood runs down. As Christine is bleeding out and Farid is trying to figure out what to do as well. They're like, good thing we had a doctor on board. Also, something we glazed over, Daniel is getting medicine. That's why he took Farid. Because Armand's blood, like being turned to a vampire didn't stop him from being sick. He's still sick. But now he's just a vampire who's sick. So he has to get treatments, I guess, to put off the side effects. It's like he's gonna die, like, but he has symptoms. He still is shaking. He still has, these issues. But yeah. Anyway,
Oofs. Big oofs.
Big oofs here. So then after this, we have the beach scene. We keep hearing the waves and we kept getting flashes of it, but now we actually have the beach where we have more revealed here of like Gabriella's worldview about how she's like, she wants to be evil. She wants to choose evil. And she wants to exist in a world without morality and without ethics and without anything. She said she wants Dante's hell, but not from a Christian standpoint. She just wants to bring that reality and drag it into this and revel in being an occupant, an inhabitant of this hell. And Lestat thinks he understands the new relationship with his mother, which is he's like, if we're not mother and son, we're married.
We're like, whoa, let's take a step back.
Yeah, and then when he's just like, we'll rule as like dark monarchs, and then cuts his hand and then draws a blood ring around her finger, and she kind of has this look on her face where she's like,
that's not what I want either. I literally just said that I don't want to be a wife anymore either.
Yeah.
I don't want to be tied like this. I want to be able to be free to do whatever the fuck I want. So I'm actually going to dip.
Yeah. And then we get to Louis and Regina, and I feel like she's, obviously she sees him sitting in the car, but I think that space between her seeing him to her waving him in is her deciding what she's going to do. I think she was debating on whether she was going to get rid of this man or if she was going to wave him in. And I think if she had flipped him off or like been like, get out of here, he would have left.
He would have left. He probably would have came back though.
He would have come back later, but like, and I think she's also thinking that she's like, I can wave him away now, but he's probably going to come back again. And so she's like, okay.
She's like, I'm leaving with something.
I've said this before. I hope she robs him blind. I hope she takes him for not all he's got. That's a lot of money. But I hope she, like, what? It's like
Yeah.
$500,000. All she has to do is do it 4 times. She has $1 million, and then she can leave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or do it 2
Wait,
times.
no,
And
2 times.
yeah. Do it 2 times. You get $1 million. Leave.
Yeah.
I hope he goes to find her and she's gone.
I mean, she should be. She got all that money.
Yeah.
Like,
$1 million.
get out of there, girl.
Absolutely. And
let's finally get him an actual vampire therapist this time.
Yes. We can't keep doing this.
Can't do it.
I find it crazy, Delaney's acting, that when she puts on the Claudia voice here, it sounds fake.
Well, yeah.
That's her. She did that. That's the voice she spoke with all of season 2.
But that's because, like, it's just off. It's wrong.
It's Regina doing her impression of Claudia's voice, which is some 4-dimensional chess acting.
It really is. Like, Delaney, you're a star.
And so I kind of felt that here with, like, Delaney being like, what would Regina think Claudia would be?
Right. Because first of all, at that age, Claudia's not calling him Daddy Lou. Not in that voice and asking, what should we do? She's not doing any of that shit.
Yeah. But it's like she's jumping back all the way back, you know?
Yeah. Oof.
It's crazy. And the look on Louis's face is like there's like he's feeling some emotion at seeing her, but also you can feel his disgust at himself. He looks nauseous.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna throw up.
Yeah. He's not doing well. I don't remember. I can't remember. We've had a couple of discussions about this, so I never remember what I say where. But I've seen people refer to this as the regression season, and I think that's absolutely correct. Everyone is regressing. Everyone is returning to things that are bad for them. But I think the thing they're going to find at the end of this is that those things, you can't go back. You can't go back. You can only go forward. So yeah, this is crazy. I remember I think there's a behind the scenes of Jacob like going like what, like after they filmed that bit, because it is uncomfortable.
It's very
uncomfortable. And yeah, we talked a lot about the Louis and Regina stuff, so here we're just kind of like, yep, and here it happened.
It's not great.
It's not great, but it could be worse.
It could be worse. It's not great though. So let's just watch yourself. Watch how you talk about it.
There was a person, not to call this person out, but they made a comment on our last video that talked about how we were going to whack Louis, and I read it and said, I think you're going to be a little disappointed, because I only have sympathy for Louis here. I don't. It's not the worst thing that's happened this episode.
It's not the worst thing that's happened this episode. It's not the worst thing that any of these men have done. Is it weird? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. These things can be true without acting like he's a fucking twirling villain. Like, hey, I'm going to groom this girl. Like, the way that people are talking about him, I'm like, y'all don't talk about any of these other very evil men like that.
I also feel like it's kind of spiritually similar to, Merrick when he has Merrick summon the ghost of Claudia. Like, they've said before that they're taking from books that happen later. So I feel like it's perfectly in character. I feel like he would do it at this point when he feels so low and so lonely, and he has no one he doesn't really have anyone right now. Like, not anyone. I don't even, obviously Regina doesn't really know him, but they can pretend, that he can delude himself for a little bit, because I
That's
also
what
think
he's great at. Oh,
yeah. I also feel like he's because some people were like, "Oh, they're walking back the character progression of when he said I can learn to live honestly and like I can own the
that's not
night."
how it works. I need people to understand that grief doesn't work this way. The grief
Exactly.
doesn't work. It's not
Just because
linear.
you can't
It's
decide you're over it.
and the thing is, even with that, like he just has fully been able to like kind of come to terms with everything that happened. Like all this is just revealed. He has not actually had time to actually process it
Yeah.
at all. So like it makes sense that like as he's actually processing it, but then also now he's like super lonely, that he's gonna revert a little bit. This grief is so nonlinear
Yeah, and
that
also, like, you know, I totally disagree with all the people who are like, "He had this great moment of talking about how he owns the night and now what's" and I'm like, "That was
that was performative
cringy."
as fuck.
It was so performative and also could be read as another suicide attempt. He was inviting a bunch of vampires to
That's
come and kick his
honestly,
ass in his house. He gave his address and said, "The door's unlocked, come in."
and it's
Like,
delusion. A lot of these men are all these men are delusional as fuck.
yeah, I feel like it's not
They're all
realistic.
delusional in their own ways and like unwilling to.
And also, like, own the night, what does that mean? Like, own the night
You're
to do
not
what?
Batman.
Own like because at the end of the day, like, you can whatever, you own the night. That doesn't bring your daughter back.
Exactly.
That
What does
doesn't
that
take away
do?
the grief you feel. That doesn't take away the betrayal you feel at your partner for lying to you for 80
Right.
years. It doesn't take away the betrayal you feel at your other partner for letting you believe this and letting you sit in it.
Right.
Like, because Lestat could have said something. He chose not to. And he says in this episode it was on purpose to
Right.
torture Armand and by extension torture Louis. It
Yeah.
wasn't, out of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not altruistic. He did it to be petty. He did it because he knew at some point it was going to blow up and leave them both in a bad place because he felt bad. And so they should also feel bad. And
I'm like, no, why is Louis in it?
yeah.
What did Louis do to you? He
Yeah,
killed you because he deserved it. That's it. So,
exactly.
like,
So,
why
like,
is Louis in it?
Louis hasn't dealt with any of it yet. So whenever
Yeah.
people get into it, I'm just like, it doesn't. He hasn't even
Sorry.
begun to
He's
like
not,
work through
yeah.
it. So yeah, and so then after this scene, I do want to say this song that Lestat has here does make me feel crazy a little bit because of some of the lines in it.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, like I had mentioned earlier, there is the line in there that hints at more evil when he says, "By candlelight, you used to teach me how to kiss," and this whole song about Gabriella, and
Shakes my head. Sure, I disagree.
yeah.
It's
And so
not
and this
good.
is the song that he was starting to write when we see him first texting Gabriella in episode 1. And so this is something he's been working on and working through, I guess, cuz it's very sad. Yeah, so while he's singing the song, we see, Gabriella leaving him, leaving the necklace behind, and we know that he gives that necklace later to Claudia. And it's kind of like this handing down of trauma, right?
God,
Symbolic in the
yeah.
necklace. Um so
Crazy.
it's very crazy because we see Lestat like it's not like zoomed in and pointed out, but like when they kill like the rest of his family, we see Lestat walking to the coffin that what's it called? I don't remember the name for it. The stone one. There's like a word for that. I can't think of what it is
I'm
though.
blanking,
And
but
he's got in his hand the necklace, and so he carried that with him, and then I guess gave it to Gabriella to be like this symbolic handing over of this patriarch role. You get to have it now. And then she leaves because she's like, I don't want to be attached to this family unit at all. And Lestat takes it and holds on to it for another cajillion years and then hands it off to Claudia. But she says, like, when am I going to grow into this? Like, it's never she can't wear it.
Yeah.
It can't fit her.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
it was crazy. And then Gabriella returns, and there is a line here when she is like, you know, talking about how she's like, I went away. And apparently, I guess when she goes away, she taps into the group chat. She goes into listens to the voices of all the other vampires. And Lestat says, like, why can't you let me hate you? Like,
Mhm.
she keeps coming back in a way that makes all of this work of him starting to sort out his feelings about her completely disappear. Like, she's so effective at breaking it down that he gets stuck in the cycle. When he
Mhm.
starts to, like, maybe think, I don't think this was good, or maybe, like,
Mhm.
she shows up again and completely redisorients him. And you know, she's of course very tapped into the great convergence because it's that evil, it's that scorching of the mortal
Right.
world that she's wanted. And
Anyways, how's that gonna work? Well, whatever.
huh?
I'm like, how's that even gonna work? Y'all just like, this doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Anyways, well, I guess the vampires can feed on other vampires, so it's just gonna be like this world of chaos and violence and blood orgy, you know, wanton everything for the sake of it all. No society to have to contend with, no rules, no laws, no having to hide. She wants, you know, like there's the whole like, oh, I want to be the thing like lurking in the shadows, but she doesn't want to lurk. She wants to drag the shadows over the world and to
Yeah.
walk out boldly and murder in plain sight. Um, so she doesn't have to like come up with these like things. She could just be. Um, And I think she thinks that society and civilization is constraining Lestat as well. And I think
Mhm.
she thinks she's helping him um, in her own way.
Well, you're not.
She's not.
Get away from
Um,
him.
it's kind of like what she's kind of doing is kind of like what Lestat does with Louis when he's like, you have to do this the way that I want it to be done.
That
If
is
you would just
interesting.
accept your nature,
That is
then.
interesting. It's even more interesting when he literally puts himself into Louis' place at the from wait, your
Mhm.
screen is going weird. Sorry. Okay. When
Yeah.
he literally puts himself into Louis' place
Hmm.
at the wedding scene.
Yeah.
Which is also
Where
crazy. It was also crazy.
it's very crazy, and there's a lot of layers to the visuals here, right? Where we see little kid Lestat here. So there's always, at the end of the day, there's a part of him that's always going to be that little kid when it comes to Gabriella. We have
Mhm.
Nikki there, who the whole time has been like, kind of being like, she is bad, she is wrong, and you know
Mhm.
she's wrong. And since this is a part
Mhm.
of Lestat's brain, Nikki is just a psychic manifestation of Lestat. That's the part of Lestat that knows it's bad, that knows
Mhm.
it's wrong.
Mhm.
Um, and then we see the Louis and Claudia from the trolley scene, where the whole plot to kill Lestat was to give your heart to him and distract him with the love, so you don't see what's happening, the machinations going on around it.
Mhm.
And that's also, I think, what Gabrielle is doing here as well, where she's like, he would try and stop the great conversion if he knew that it was a thing that he could stop.
Mhm.
So I'm going to distract him with
Mhm.
something else so that we can bring it about, because he doesn't, this will be good for him, but he doesn't know that it's going to be good for him. But I know it'll be good for him. He just has to let it happen.
Mm, or we could not.
Or
But
we could not.
we could not.
And I feel like even despite the fact that visually we have all these things that are drawing all these lines and connections to season one, to these things that happen for, to these cycles that Lestat has perpetrated as well. Lestat is still trying to pretend like he doesn't care. about it, that he has this like derision towards the first season, or like the story that he is using to evoke what's happening now, but also he still has to undercut it because he's
Yeah, he
still
starts
bitter about it
laughing
at
about it.
the
He's
end of
like,
the day.
and I'm like,
And he's like, you just had to be there, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then it ends with this weird song, and then I guess we're gonna be in New York. Or we're in New York now, but the next one I think is called New York. And I think that's also the Akasha episode.
Wait, it's episode 5.
Because we meet Marius next episode.
It was him! I hate him.
Mm-hmm.
I hate him.
Yes.
I need him to stay away from everybody. I need him to stay away from everybody, especially our mom, but honestly, everybody. Okay, I don't want him Lestat butting up. Okay, because Lestat, you're already enough of an evil white man. Do not seek him as a mentor.
You can't seek out the final boss of
He's
evil
the
white
final boss. We talk about redemption. You're not gonna be redeemed. That's not how it happens if you talk to him. We need to fix you over there.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from him. Stay away from. Ever since the whole part, knowing that he's weird, even with Louis, stay away. I need you to stay away from everyone.
In the Book the Damned, he's weird with
Louis. Stay away from everybody, especially our mom, but stay away from everybody. That's all I'm gonna say. I wish Akasha just fully killed you.
Yeah.
That would bring me such joy. Such joy. Hallelujah. But they're not going to do that.
They can't, unfortunately. He's an important character.
Well, he should die. Anyways.
I know interested to see what they do with him, because
I'm scared.
I am also scared, but I fear that the thing that they would need to do would make a lot of people angry, which would be to portray him as very kind and very measured and very reasonable and charismatic and likable, and to downplay his relationship, what he did to Armand, and kind of make Armand seem like a liar, because that's kind of what Marius does.
Yeah, it's what he does, and
it's kind of like you're being hysterical.
Even in like the book of the Vampire Lestat, like you do. I mean, if you're actually like reading what you're like, oh, that's weird as fuck.
When he's like, we both return to vampires because we're 6 feet tall, white with blonde hair and blue eyes, and we're better. That makes us better made than.
I'm like, but what about the child slavery? And Lestat's like, what? I didn't hear that part. Anyways.
Oh yeah, when like also Lestat said some crazy things to Armand in the book when he said, "You're the slave of everything that ever claimed you."
That was crazy.
When Gabrielle in the book calls him a dirty-faced peasant child.
There's a lot of not great stuff.
Yeah,
that they say. Yeah, I'm like, oh, which makes me even more scared. Actually, to be honest, now that we're gonna see Marius. So
Marius. Yeah, there's a line in, I think it's in Blood and Gold, which is the Marius book, where he describes himself as being like as a man of the West, being in permanent opposition to the East.
Oh, this is about to be bad.
It's bad.
Everything's bad. Get him out of here. And there are people who like him genuinely, who are like, he's not a bad guy.
I don't get that at all. And on top of it all, and this is the least, damnable thing about Marius, he's also boring. I find him so boring. Like, when I got to the Marius chapter of the Vampire Lestat, I was like, oh my god. Where's Lestat? Can he come back? I'm sick of this guy. He keeps going on and on. I don't know how Lestat sat quietly for this, like, 2.5 hour like info dump. Was Lestat just like, do you think he retained? Well, I guess obviously he wrote it all down, but I was just like, I wouldn't have retained anything. I'd have been like, okay.
Well, he has hard eyes at Marius, so
he does. He's like, "Are you my dad?"
I'm like, no, stop.
But he's also like, "Are you my dad?"
Yuck! Stop it! Stop! No! Everyone, stop! Everyone, cut the cameras. All right, that's it. We're wrapping this show up. Anyways, thank you for joining us for another 2-hour discussion.
A lot of this is gonna be cut out. We have a lot of
but it's still gonna be pretty lengthy.
There's a lot to say. I realized I had a lot more to say.
That person in the comments was right. That's going to be 2 hours nearly, but it's not to just talk shit about Louis. Okay, leave him alone. Leave him alone a little bit. Step back. You can, sometimes he deserves to be criticized, but we can watch how we talk about it. Okay, let's not be weird. Anyways.
Other characters get to have analysis, but Louis just gets to be criticized. And I'm like, you can analyze it from a narrative point of view instead of being like, Louis is real and he's threatening me right now.
I know. It's so weird. Watch yourself, okay? Or I'm going to show up to your place.
Anyway, after this episode, I feel like Armand deserves to kill one of these band members.
Oh.
I
forgot. I mean, I didn't forget that you thought that, but okay.
I don't care about these guys. And also, someone said I guess they got screeners. They said don't get too attached to the band. And I'm like, I'm not attached to them at all. Let's see something interesting happen with them involving Armand.
I'm not really attached to them either. I only like Salamander. That's it. So,
yeah. Anyway, so that's been this. We have planned to do a reaction for episode 5 because it's the Kasha one. We'll see because I may not be as available going forward. So I may have less time to edit a reaction video, and then the week after I will be out of town for episode 6. So we'll see what all happens with that.
So that was our episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Drop your comments below, whether you agree with the things we've said, you disagree. Unless it's to be mean to Louis, then watch yourself because I will fight you.
I was gonna say I can delete comments.
Oh, well, that too, but
your opinion might not matter.
Watch yourself. Watch yourself. Don't be anti-Black in my comments. Anyways, but thank you for joining us. Oh my god. Bye, y'all.
Bye.